Hello, everyone, and just welcome. I already see some people joining. We'll wait for some more. Let's wait as well. Just 1 minute more, just not be. And thank you again for participating to the second webinar on cloud fiscalization for Italy. So today we'll be actually following up on the first webinar that we had, which was more of a just general overview of cloud fiscalization in Italy. And today we're going to have more in-depth look of one of the, of course, most important topics about cloud fiscalization in Italy, which is indeed the part of technical specification that relates to roles, archiving, and as well as some, of course, specific feature that we have with software fiscalization in Italy. And I leave it actually to the main as well speaker of today, which is Francesca.
Yes, thank you, Silvio. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all who joined already. Thanks for attending this webinar. I am Francesca Rinaldi. I am product manager for Sen Italy. Today, alongside with Silvio, I'll be sharing some insights on software-based fiscalization in Italy and some also insights into how we are implementing it here in Fiscally. Silvio, if you agree, without further ado, I would start diving into the webinar.
I see more people joining, so I think definitely we can move on as well to the next slide. And about that, about Fiscally, we start as well once again for those who doesn't know us, which I think are some of you in the audience as well, even though I see a lot of already partners that are interested, of course, in exploring Italian fiscalization. But so what's Fiscally? Who we are? We are a tech company specializing in cloud fiscalization. We're doing that at scale. We're doing that across Europe. Started in 2019, and we're really focused on delivering efficient solution in cloud fiscalization. We're a market leader in Germany. We serve over 200,000 businesses in Europe. And updating our numbers, we now have 1 million of active point of sale that are integrated through our APIs. And talking of which, of course, our approach is something that is tech first, but also very user-centric. And to do so, we also have pretty good spot as well on our technological approach to that. Maybe Francesca as well, if you want to follow up on these, or maybe as well we can just go straight into the key points and the agenda for today.
Yeah, well, thank you, Silvio. Actually, I would like to add just a quick note here about our infrastructure, because you mentioned something interesting that we operate on about 1 million devices. So we handle the total of approximately 10 billion transactions to date. We had recorded peaks of over 100 million in a single day. So this should give you the idea of the scale of operation we're talking about. And our partner for this is Google Cloud Platform, which hosts our infrastructure, and it provides us with this degree of scalability and security that we need for our most demanding and complex operational needs. So we were able to serve customers in the scale of sum up, Nike, Cloudbeds, you name it. So with that being said about our scale, our infrastructure, I would say let's dive right into the heart of this presentation. As today we have some topics to tackle. We're focusing on the technical specifications for fiscalization in Italy. And specifically, we will tackle and explain the most crucial aspects of the official document shared by the authorities. We will explore Fiscali's full cloud approach to this implementation and its advantages. We will outline our offering for fiscalization APIs. And finally, there will also be time for some questions.
There is as well lots of things in general. So I think it's actually quite busy agenda. And it's one of the topics that as well is being very frequently asked by all customers and prospects that as well we're dealing with and partners of several type. So just as well following up to the last webinar that we had, where we gave actually a general overview about the fiscal landscape, its evolution, and so on. And just to reconnect to that, we're taking a step back and talks a bit about how we got here in 2025 in terms of cloud fiscalization, what are the next steps. And this is actually very important to understand what's coming as well next and the next step for the development of cloud fiscalization in Italy. So very briefly, as you know, cloud fiscalization has been formally introduced by legislative decree in 2024, at the beginning of 2024 in January. Another important step, there was a huge milestone. Another important step is actually coming in July 2024, which was the first draft of technical specification, which is the object of the webinar today in its form. And maybe Francesca as well will give us a bit as well of more background, a sneak peek of how this changed from the first draft. And then, of course, one of the most important events in this year was the actual publication of those technical specifications and the formal approval by the revenue agency in Italy. Later on as well, we will get back to what's next and what will come in the next months. But for now as well, this was just for giving some more context of where these technical specifications are coming from, how these are, why these are so important for the whole context and the whole framework of cloud fiscalization. So I think.
Thanks, Silvia, for this recap and how we got here. And I would say this now very well introduces our main topic for today, the technical specifications and their importance when it comes to providing a compliant solution. So let's tackle them and let's try to demystify them and understand what they're all about. We're talking about a document issued by the Italian Revenue Agency in February of this year. It includes all of the technical as well as functional requirements for fiscalization software in Italy, essentially. So it has the main goal of ensuring uniformity among operators and to safeguard the integrity of fiscal data to make sure that they're also correctly exchanged with the revenue agency system. And it is also important to mention the specifications then guide the product's official certification that was in the roadmap you've seen before. And this means that they're also a guarantee of quality for whoever integrates these solutions. So they have to undergo a very strict process of formal certification. So here's a preview of the topics we will talk about today. We will start with the two modules that make up the software solution, PEM and PEL, issuing point and processing point. We will tackle the requirements for compliant data storage and those for security measures. And finally, we will take a look at the actors involved in the value chain and clarify the roles and the activities for each one. So, Silvia, I leave it to you to give a very broad overview here, and then I will dive into each and every one of these.
Yes, so one as well of the news that has been actually introduced by this technical specification, which is important to underline, is this new framework where basically has been clear definitions of roles and responsibility of the different subjects involved in the overall supply chain of fiscalization. And we're talking about three main figures and subject, which are defined here as producer, provider, and merchant. So either you're quite familiar or not with those. It is something that is, yes, formally defined in this technical specification. And so the first subject, producer, is basically the equivalent in the case of hardware fiscal printers, but the one who actually holds the certificate for the fiscal modules. So in this case, it's fiscally. We're having a fiscal model dedicated, and of course, we will qualify as producer. So it's the created entity that is developing both models, in the case that we briefly seen before, PEM and PEL, also called MF1 and MF2, and is the one who is going through the actual certification homologation process with the agency. The provider role is, as the name suggests, of course, needless to say, is the entity that provides a solution to the merchants. So it's kind of the middleman that actually holds different responsibility. We'll see that in detail later. And then, of course, there is the merchant, which in our chain is the end. But then, of course, there are also end consumers we're not going to take into consideration here, which is, in the end, the business owner who uses the software solution and is the one in the case of what are called corrispettivi telematici, which is the discipline for Italian fiscal receipts, are the one who is issuing and managing directly the receipt. So I get back to Francesca, and I think we can start deep diving as well into the producer role and giving as well some more overview on what the producer roles and responsibilities are. Just a quick comment before switching as well is the fact that producer can be also the same subject as the provider. So this can be as well different, but can also be the same, meaning that the producer can also serve as a provider, or they can be two separate entities and two different subjects.
Definitely. I will iterate actually from this important principle you introduced there, Silvio, because the Italian Revenue Agency has actually structured the value chain into these two distinct roles. They separated their responsibilities between those who write the software and those who distribute and manage it. So let's start with the producer. This is essentially the software house that develops the solution in compliance with the agency specifications we're talking about today. It must maintain both ISO 9001 and ISO 27001 certifications. And most importantly, they take care of submitting the solution to the official certification body. So they're in charge of the process of homologation of the solution, because only after this approval, the solution can be used on the market and selected by the providers. And so what are the providers in turn? Here we're talking about the company that manages the software and handles direct communications with the revenue agency. And this is really a key figure for fiscalization in Italy. And therefore, in this case as well, the legislator wants to see the two ISO certifications, which are also required throughout the software's life cycle for the provider. And on top of these, let's say, formal requirements, the provider also has to perform a series of tasks. First of all, before operating, they must follow this accreditation procedure on the Revenue Agency's portal, which provides them the necessary security and signing certificates for the provider to operate. The provider also has to manage compliant archiving. This is very important. We will get back to this topic later. And the provider also has to provide continuous technical support to the merchant. So we also finally take a quick look at the merchant, because they are actually one of our focal points in product development, because we really want to take their needs into account when developing, because ultimately it is the merchant who is legally responsible for being compliant. So we are in turn responsible for helping them achieve this. Other than this, what they do is rather simple. It's just 2 steps. They have to register on the agency's portal as a merchant who chose a software solution, and then register each of their issuing points with the support of the provider for this technical operation.
Also, just a comment as well that, of course, was worth mentioning, merchant and provider role, because as Francesca was saying, merchants are in the end the ultimate user of the solution as basically principal operator for issuing those receipts and corrispettivi telematici. So as well, it's something that apart from technical level has the most impact on our side in terms of product development, on the user experience that we want to deliver and the quality of the service. So that is well something that has a weight in terms of design and product aspects. So switching back as well to the two components, I think as well here, I leave it back to Francesca on defining MF1 and MF2.
Definitely. Yes. Thank you, Silvio. I can give an overview of these two components with those names that actually come from Italian. They describe a point of emission and a point of elaboration. So we can conceive them as two complementary modules. This is how the specifications envision the architecture. So let's go ahead and differentiate them. Let's start with the PEM. This is the point of emission, and it corresponds to our POS device, just for a quick understanding of what they are or where we are when we talk about PEM. So it concentrates the functionalities that support the merchant's daily operations. So we're talking about all fiscally relevant operations, the generation of commercial documents, the management of lottery code flows, and so forth. And in addition to this, the PEM also has a cryptographic aspect to it. It's already in charge of the security of the whole process because it handles cash register openings and closings. And in the meantime, it manages a cryptographic journal that is then transmitted to the PEL. So it's a shared task between PEM and PEL to handle these cryptographic operations and making sure the whole process is secure. In turn, the PEL is the counterpart of the PEM. This is the point of processing. And here in the PEL, we receive the fiscal data, we verify it, we store it, and finally we transmit it to the Italian Revenue Agency automatically and according to the timelines that are established by the regulation. And I want to highlight an important point here, that the PEL is the only component that is authorized to do so, that is authorized and set up to interact with the Italian Revenue Agency. So as a whole, the architecture works like this. The PEM only ever communicates with the PEL and never directly with the agency system. So only the PEL is then allowed to communicate with the agency. So as you see, we have a clear separation between the operational level of the PEM and the orchestration level of the PEL. So this gives us a dual guarantee of data inalterability. And at Fiscally, we have developed this operational model that implements both modules entirely in a cloud environment, which unlocks the performance, the scalability, and the reliability levels that I was mentioning at the beginning. And above all, it definitely then simplifies infrastructure management for those who choose this type of solution. So about this, Silvio has surely a few pointers to describe really how this happens and how the cloud, a cloud-based solution provides value for the integrator.
Absolutely. And so actually a couple of things that are related to both the benefits of cloud solution and in general about the transition from hardware to software fiscalization in general. Because as well, worth to mention that as well, technically speaking, both PEM and PEL can be both actually or at the local level or cloud-based, defined by technical specification. And in our case, and behind as well, Fiscally philosophy and our market success in general, as Francesca was highlighting, is our cloud philosophy and having a cloud-based solution for both PEM and PEL. So what we see and the reason behind what should really consider or directly as well switch to a cloud-based fiscalization solution. Most of all, you have to consider as well the fact that when you were dealing with a cloud solution, you didn't have actual hardware, of course, to deal with. So that entailed that you didn't have beforehand costs in equipment. And as well, of course, that means that it's actually, well, easy to maintain and extremely cost efficient. So just to give you as well here some pointers, software solution can be 50% and more cost effective than hardware solution for merchants. We're talking the merchant level, which is in the end the one who are sustaining this cost. And also talking about merchants and flexibility, software allows easily to vary, to increase or decrease the number of fiscalized units, virtually almost instantaneous. And so these actually result in extreme flexibility and scalability. That is not, of course, something that we can also observe using hardware fiscalization. Then specifically to Italy, we operate once again at the European level in different countries. In Italy, I think that's a particularly felt pain point when we talk about the maintenance and the regulatory aspects. So on average, there is different updates almost every year. We talk about lottery codes, payment integration, you name it. I think you're quite familiar with those already. But the fact that with software, every update is included and can be performed safely, super fast remotely. So all the complex logistics behind it and as well in local service, it is something that can be totally avoided and then can result in a way more linear management of operation in general for a fleet of devices. And then, of course, there is a fundamental aspect, which is personally one that I really like, is the fact that you can actually build services upon fiscalization. It's actually an enable that comes from an easy data management. So for POS players, especially, which are most of our partners, it's easier to build on top of those high-value services, which are enabled by cloud fiscalization. So you can go from compliance assessment to analytics to digital receipts and paperless solution in Italy. That actually is something that goes together with cloud fiscalization. If that's as well quite clear that there is undoubted advantages in cloud fiscalization, and we will give you as well some more details, or we'd like as well to ask you what are some feedback of what's your status there on reviewing cloud fiscalization. And we're going to have a survey with just some general question of what is your stance on cloud fiscalization. And we're starting asking you what's your status there, meaning that if you already implemented or plan the adoption of cloud fiscalization. And so what's the timing there? Because as you know, timing is key in this environment as well. Because we're going through a major transition in Italy that is actually the convergence of many different aspects. Once again, from payment, from fiscalization, the very nature of POS. And we see that there is a strong preference for evaluation and taking a decision in the next 3 to 6 months, which sounds, of course, so can you see the actual second question would be, so what are the main factors who are, drivers and influencing the choice of a cloud solution for fiscalization? So whether it's, the possibility of having direct integration, the simplified regulatory updates and maintenance, pricing, or just the possibility of planning in advance and having something that is extremely modular, scalable, flexible for both merchants and POS player. Integration plays a big role, and I think as well we have the last question for the round, which is actually more leaning into what are we're very interested as well in understanding what are the blockers, or at least what you perceive as obstacle in general, and in adopting cloud fiscalization. Of course, we see a big opportunity there, and we see a strong market demand. So in case as well, what you see is the main obstacle in terms of adoption. We definitely see a part of regulation that plays a role there in terms of, not knowing for sure what are the timeline and a bit of uncertainty. But this is actually a good thing to see that, because this course is reducing the more that we are approaching as well and advancing with the certification process. So everything is actually becoming more and more defined, more and more clear as the months pass, and we are approaching the final, possibility of having it deployed at the market level. So thanks for responding and having as well sharing with us some inputs on this. One of the topic that was listed here, but apparently is one of the most felt as well in terms of importance, and we totally understand the importance of that, is going to talk about the offline mode. So software has a peculiar characteristic as well compared to their current solution that are in the market. For instance, what is called as of now functionality Lite, the possibility of operating as well without an internet connection, exactly like RT printers. And we're going, of course, to spend some more time detailing as well how this is handled in the case of software fiscalization in Italy, and what the technical specifications say about the offline mode, and getting, of course, as well some more perspective of what does this means for the merchants and for the POS players itself. So I'll just as well leave it again to Francesca on a more in-depth view of what technical specifications say about this.
Yes, definitely a crucial topic. Thank you, Silvio, for the insights you shared, and thanks to the audience for providing their own perspective. We really agree that the offline scenario is a key point because having a solution fully capable of working offline, we believe that it really unlocks the power of cloud fiscalization with none of the drawbacks. So this is something that we have been reflecting on a lot at Fiscally, starting from what the technical specifications say, and the regulation here describes and distinguishes two kinds of scenarios. Let's have a look at them. In scenario one, we have a loss of communication between the two modules we have been describing before, so between PEM and PEL. In this case, what the regulator says is that the PEM can continue to issue documents for a maximum of 60 minutes, and after that time, the cash register is blocked and the connection until the connection is restored. This is in contrast to scenario two. Here we have a loss of communication with the cloud instead, so not between the two modules. In this case, the PEM enters an out-of-service state, and the point of sales immediately switches to the emergency fees register. And so this is precisely the case that a full cloud solution must correctly address with a lot of care. And in Fiscally, we decided to tackle this as an opportunity to innovate, so to propose a reliable and innovative approach, offering in our SunIT solution a digital emergency register built directly into the local PEM. So what happens is when the connection is lost, every sale is signed and chained with an unalterable cryptographic mechanism. And when connectivity is restored, the data is then automatically reconciled with the PEL without any manual intervention from the merchant. So to summarize it in one phrase, we designed this digital register essentially as an automatic backup journal. So we securely chain all transactions that occurred offline, and upon reconnection, we send them to the Italian Revenue Agency with the specific data format that the specifications require. So what I would like to do is also to summarize this proposal from our side now from the perspective of the store operator, which, as we were saying before, is one of our main focal points when we're designing the usage of our solutions. So what happens is that if the connection drops, the local component installed locally detects it and automatically switches to offline mode. So it is possible to continue to perform secure operations throughout the outage. Then when the network is restored, the data that was collected offline is synchronized again with the PEL and then sent to the revenue agency without any additional action from the merchant. So the business can stay compliant, and the offline event, not only it does not impact operations because all of this stays transparent to the merchant, but we also take the chance to introduce a more advanced and a more secure solution than what is prescribed by the technical specifications. So it can be considered really an additional redundancy component that is at the same time compliant with the specifications and cryptographically secure with Fiscally technology.
It's of course as well paramount to say that in general terms, once again, I stress it again, the fact of transitioning to a software solution, we already see so that the main advantages that it brings to the table, but as well, it's paramount absolutely to offer at least the same type of security, the same type of support in case of offline, and for sure enhances user experience as well for merchants. That's why as well we took these extremely in focus on our approach on the merchant side and its user experience. As Francesca was saying, what happens exactly when the connection is interrupted and the whole flow of the emergency register activation or the 60 minutes that are included as well with the PEM-PEL disconnection. So we'll be now switching as well to another topic, which is also one of the key aspects in this new framework of software fiscalization. Because, for instance, when we talk about the actual framework of fiscal printers and corrispettivi telematici in Italy, we're talking about data storage for not the data, but the actual memories and the drives that we have for these devices. So there is a storage obligation in Italy for many types of documents, including receipts, fiscal receipts. This is the same for Judge AXA, e-invoices, and as well for receipts. In the case of receipts, many of you are probably familiar with the fact that you actually need to store safely and guard the memories of fiscal printers for quite a long period of time. And it's the same thing in the case of digital receipts, where we have an obligation for 10 years of the retention and archiving of those data. This obligation, what is really interesting in this framework, we defined previously the producer, the provider, and the merchant role. This obligation stands with the provider role. So it's actually the provider who is responsible for those data. So not the memories, but the data in this case. And this needs as well to be exactly in the format and the way that is defined by authorities. So as well, technical specifications are quite clear on these. And as well, I leave once again Francesca to get a deeper dive on what this means in terms of storage obligation and how we are addressing that as well.
Yes, definitely. I would start by saying, by iterating on this important point to keep in mind. We mentioned it already briefly in the roles section we had before. The regulations assign this responsibility for preservation to the provider. So this is one of the provider's core responsibility. And what needs to be preserved exactly is shown in this list that you see on the slide. We're talking about 8 classes of documents which must be preserved alongside with their digital signatures. And these are then collected into archiving packages that are themselves signed and timestamped. And all of this collected material must then be preserved for amounts of times that change according to the data life cycle phase. They are subject to specific audits by the agency. The service level agreement for these audits change and range from 15 minutes to 5 days. And upon request, the provider must be able to retrieve and provide individual XML files extracted from this archive. And one thing that I would like to add on top of all of these requirements is that these also represent a leap, in our opinion, a leap in quality compared to the old hardware solutions, because it's not just simple local storage as we have in the hardware world. In this case, we're talking about legal and permanent preservation with well-defined service level agreements, as I mentioned, and it's all cryptographically guaranteed according to international laws regulating this sector.
So, once again, in terms of storage, we saw that is actually a critical aspects, and is one big opportunity of how your operations are carried out at the store level, at the merchant level. But apart from that, as well, is a big opportunity once again as well to build services on top of those, since it's actually a transition that will allow the management of those data to get much more easy and way more manageable in general. So as Fiscally, we will provide as well digital archiving as a service. That is actually something that is directly integrated with our signed and current solution for different countries. We're also offering this at international scale. And of course, we will ensure the safe document retention for 10 years in full compliance with the Italian regulation. It's also, once again, to be stressed the fact that this is something that we can ensure whether we are offering the service with the role of provider itself, so Fiscally assuming the role of provider, or either where our partners are assuming directly the role of provider. And in the case as well, we can offer a safe and high quality archiving service directly integrated with our fiscalization solution. That is, of course, continuously updated to meet legal requirements, but also it is something that can be actually directly integrated into the service. So as well, I'll give an overview of the Fiscally API solution and what we currently as well have for Italy, as you're quite familiar probably already with those. But once again, for giving some context and following with the next steps that we have for fiscalization in Italy. As you may know, it is already possible to use cloud fiscalization in Italy. This is behind, for instance, our SNAT Lite solution that is currently active. And as already stressed, SNAT Lite is the same kind of structure of APIs that is behind SNAT. That is the full solution that will come in the course of the next months, aiming at January 2026, as also disclosed by a previous slide in the revenue agency timeline that has been shared, and works basically as a faster go-to-market in the segment that are a fit for a solution that, for instance, all cloud POS that works requiring an internet connection and works with a real-time compliance. SNAT Lite is an excellent solution for that and can be used already on the market. while for a more robust, certified, high-scale, high-frequency transaction, we will be rolling out, and this will be available soon, the full solution of SignIT. It'd be good as well to hear it from you once again. If you have some general question about cloud fiscalization, about our products, and so on. I see some questions in the chat already. And please publicate as well the question, publish the question on the public chat, because on the private one, it's more complicated to answer. So, see a question coming on: how does it work, the integration between payment and the POS systems? I think here you're referring as well to the activity that is coming with the law of that is coming from the last financial law of December 2024, that actually mandates integration between the POS system and the payment services. And this is starting from January 2026. This is something, of course, that will be fully supported by SignIT. At this moment of time, this has been excluded from homologation activity of cloud fiscalization, meaning that cloud fiscalization would be available, or at least as well would be possible to homologate that without this integration. And this is probably coming not in the defined date previously by the government, which is the 1st January 2026, which is the official date, but it's very, very likely that it will be postponed, as well any fiscal tracks has been released, nor for software fiscalization, and not as well for fiscal printers. So no fiscal tracks are available as of now for that type of integration. More updates will follow soon on these, but it's something that we probably will be implemented somewhere in mid-2026 or later, even though we are perfectly aware that as of now, the law starts from January 2026. So we will be fully supporting this. And let's see as well if there are some more questions. Ray, sorry for not being clear on the timing of the webinar. Thanks for the feedback. We will be more next time. How long does it take for integrates? SignIT solution will be the same as well for your other. So asking how long does the integration takes, that really depends on the type of infrastructure you have. Maybe as well, Francesca, you have some comments here. I can take some more experience from as well our customers there and the feedback that they provided. So I would say that really depends. We have customers that were actually up and running, already doing transaction in Italy in a matter of days. Of course, that's something that is not the average timing for integration, but I would say that's a range between, yes, 1 week and 5 weeks, depending on the infrastructure, the resource you allocate to it, and how complex as well are your operations in terms of POS solution and the different products you serve. And I would say actually that's mostly kind of the same for the other solution that we serve on the other markets. So, yeah.
Definitely, I agree with your comment there. What I would only add is that we have a very extensive documentation that is exactly catered at providing you with all of the support you need. You can consider it your knowledge base really for aiding implementation. It includes well-documented APIs, as well as really a treasure of articles and detailed, thorough guides that you can follow. And as well, there's an amazing product education team that is there to support with every implementation hiccups or by simply providing information to you that is not so clear, or that is more maybe specific for your individual use case. So that is to say that we put a lot of effort into really making this as stressless as possible from your side.
So on these, just concluding as well, since I think it's already time to wrap up, that once again, of course, we can also provide you support on the overall site integration whenever needed, as Francesco was mentioning as well, with our amazing product education team. And as well, we are producing lots of content for the different stakeholders that are involved in fiscalization. So for merchants, for consumer, for the direct POS integration on different aspects, whether it's, on fiscal requirements, updates, and so on. We're producing lots of content in that. So thank you again for joining today. And I will leave you as well some more content on the type that we're producing, and just guide to Italian fiscalization that is being updated, and we will keep updating on the next months if new things come up. And so they should be popping up as well, the link to download actually this guide if you already didn't do that. And I leave you with that. I thank you very much for joining us today. I think we will see on the next webinars, and please feel free to reach out to me and Francesca for any doubts you may have on the topics that we just discussed today, or any things that come to your mind, whether we talk about cloud fiscalization in Italy, Europe, and so on.
Definitely. Also from my side, I thank you all for attending, and I look forward to talk to all of you and to go deeper into any of these topics. There is a lot to be discussed, and a lot of knowledge that we will share in the future with you. Until then, thank you again for joining, and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.